So today in this video what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to pull handles. So pulling a handle is how you're going to attach a handle onto a coffee cup, or if you're going to put handles on the side of like a casserole dish. When we pull a handle, there's a few different ways to do it. Mainly we hold a piece of clay that's kind of a carrot shape. So you're going to take your clay and kind of slap it into a shape similar to like a kind of a fat carrot. You're going to hold the larger end of the carrot over a bowl of water or over the sink. You're going to get your hand wet, and you're going to slowly start pulling the clay down as it's wet. As you're pulling down, what you're doing is you're actually creating a small little crimp in this top area, squeezing your fingers a little bit and then pulling it down. That's going to stretch the clay down. The clay has to constantly stay wet. If it's dry, your hands will stop and you'll tear a piece of clay off. Okay? So we're doing this. As we do this, we rotate our hand, or we rotate the clay to kind of pull this clay down slower and slower. This takes a lot of practice, so it's going to be something that you're going to have to do quite a few before you get a nice handle. You're going to be required to make 10 handles, and then 3 of those handles are going to need to be attached onto the side of one of your half cylinders. So here's a half cylinder, and I'm going to attach a handle onto here, but first I'm going to pull this handle. You can also take your fingers like scissors, and you can put them on each side of the handle and pull. That's going to flatten 2 sides so that you'll have a top and a bottom of the handle. What you'll notice is my handle is going to get very long. I can make more than one handle out of this piece of clay. So what you'll notice sometimes is that what I'll do is if a piece comes off, I'll just set it down. I'll get this handle to about the thickness you expect a coffee cup handle to be, which is right about here. And then I'm going to take this piece of clay and I'm going to pinch it between my fingers. I'm going to do a little pinch, which is going to almost tear it completely off. And then I'll turn it to the side that will come off. Then with my hand, I'm going to take this handle, I'm going to set it up on the table or on a board at an angle, like this. And I need to let that dry for about 10 or 15 minutes before I attach it onto a cup. Now I can continue pulling handles. I'll need to make 10 of those for the project. So if that was one, this could be another one. I'll pinch it at the top here, slightly pinched. I'm going to pull it and rotate it. I want to touch the handle as little as possible, so you can see I have 2 fingers on the handle. I'm turning it over and bending it and lightly setting it down on the table. If you're running out of table space, another thing you can do is when you're pulling a handle, is you can take the handle, do the same thing, pinch it off, and you can rest it on the side of a table, like this, by pressing it on the top of the table and smearing it on, and it will rest down the side of the table like this, so it can save a little space if the center of the table is full of stuff or people are working on the table. When you get to the point where the carrot is mostly the handle end, and it's basically a short stub here, you can take your hand and start squeezing the carrot and making sure that it gets a little bit longer. You always want to pull it from a little longer carrot. It's much easier to pull a nice even piece. This is going to be something that you're probably going to do for an entire class period and have a lot of mistakes or failures. When you're pulling the handle, one side will get too thin. You might squeeze too hard and get a thin spot in the middle of the handle. If you see that it's got a thin spot in the middle where it's thinner in the middle than it is on the side, this is going to eventually tear off. You might as well pull it off now. Okay. If you want to make handles that are different shapes, you can pull your thumb down the center of the handle like this, and this will leave a groove in the center of the handle for your thumb. And some people like that on a coffee cup. So the center of the handle now has a groove in it that you can see. I can take this handle the same way, pinch it off, set my handle down. So once I have my handles pulled, I then need to attach them to the cup. Another way to pull a handle is if you pull from a smaller carrot. So if you imagine this was the carrot that I was pulling the clay from, the smaller one, I can take this clay, I have my handle pulled, I can rotate this over and attach clay to itself. There's my handle. And I can set this on the table to dry. When you're in class, it's always best to pull your handles first, right when you get to class, and hopefully in the last 20 minutes of class, you can attach the handle. Okay? I'm going to show you how to attach a handle. You normally want to let the handles sit for about 10 minutes so that the handles don't get messy. With handles, the less you touch it, the better. When I'm attaching a handle, I need to use a fork, a scoring tool, which has like 5 pins in a row, or like a serrated rib, because I need to attach the handle onto the cup, and I don't want it to fall off. So this cup is leather hard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the scratching tool, and I don't want to put the handle at the very rim of the cup. I want the handle to be a little bit below the rim, maybe like an inch below. I'm going to scratch an area about maybe the size of my thumb. Then I'm going to add some water. I'm going to scratch that area again. So now it's a nice muddy surface. Then I'm going to take my handle that I pulled. Here's my handle. And I don't need to use the whole thing. This might be too big of a handle for this cup. So if this handle is too big, this is where I would take a pin tool, or I could take a rib and I can cut a little bit of this handle off. So I'm going to cut a little bit of the handle off so the handle's a little bit smaller because it fits my cylinder a little better. Now that I have my handle cut, I'm going to want to scratch the end where it's going to attach very lightly. I'm just going to scratch the end. Now there's several ways I can attach the handle. One, I could push the handle straight into the cup, or I could take the handle and put it on like the back edge of the cup. For this one, I'll put it on the back. I'm going to put the scratch pieces right next to each other and give a single push. And now my handle's attached on that side. Then I need to attach the handle on the bottom. When I'm getting ready to attach the handle on the bottom, I have a little extra you can see down here. I'm going to lift this handle up and set it down for a second. I'm going to pick the spot where I want to scratch it. When I'm looking at this, if you can see what I'm looking at, I'm trying to make sure that the handle is straight. So wherever I scratch it here, I want to scratch it directly below there for the bottom part of the handle. So I'm going to scratch. Add a drop of water. Scratch it again. Now I'm ready to attach my handle. When I attach the handle, I don't need to really scratch this part right here. I'm just going to take the handle and I'm going to take it, line it up, make sure it's nice and straight, and I'm going to press down and peel away the excess clay. Now my handle's attached. And the last thing I'm going to do is make sure I like the shape of the handle. Handles always need to be a little bigger than you want them because they shrink. So I want this handle to be a little too big. And the handle should be able to fit at least 2 fingers inside, usually a very average handle, without you touching either the handle or the cup. So that would be the handle I'm looking for. After this, I would clean it up with a tool, make sure there's no scratch mark showing, and that would be my handle. You could attach a handle like this, or you can take a handle scratch, and you can attach it straight on. So you'll notice I scratched the straight area of it, and I can push the handle straight in, and then pick this handle up a little bit, pick the area below it the same way. I can also attach the bottom part by pushing it straight in as well. So I could attach the handle by pushing it down like this, and then I would change the shape so it looks like this. So I could attach it like this, or I could take the handle and I could turn it in this way and push the handle straight in this way as well. Attaching it straight on like this is a little more difficult to make it look clean, but it does make a different kind of handle. This is more the kind of handle that you probably see on coffee cups at home. Okay. So that's how you'd attach a handle onto your cylinder. You need to do that 3 times. and then you should have 7 handles pulled like this for me to grade. Once you have 3 attached to 3 half cylinders and 7 handles, have me grade it, and your project is done.